Hello students, this is Mr. Olivo again with another video to help you manage your time and stress in this period of remote learning. This video will give you a sort of like philosophical, psychological framework as to how to approach problems that come up as you may be learning away from school, in school, and you know what, it just can be applied to many different contexts. So as the words say next to the giant brain on the screen, we're going to be talking about ACT. And to talk about ACT, I guess I'm going to have to define the components of ACT. This has a very specific meaning at our school and even in the field of psychology, which we'll get into in a moment. And we'll talk about how to identify how ACT can be used to create goals and address our distress. And distress is just negative stress. There is something called positive stress, which is called eustress, and that's like if you were ever playing a sport or about to perform a musical piece, when you get that feeling of like, let's go, I can do this, I'm gonna crush this task. That's eustress. That's the good stress. But in case no one's ever told you this before, stress constantly exists for all humans. It's just how do you manage it? And lastly, we will practice using an ACT matrix to set a goal. And that's a very specific tool to help you structure any goal setting that you happen to be doing. Basically, ACT is a way of using our values to take action. And the acronym stands for accept, commit, and take action. And acceptance means acknowledging and being aware about what is causing your stress and how you are dealing with that stress. That is the crucial first step to any self-improvement and facing any problem. The commit portion is to focus on your core values. And these are, we're going to get into the many different definitions of values, but chosen life directions or qualities that we embrace to combat that which is stressing us. And the last component is take action, and I don't have any fancy words that are going to drop down here. That's really just what it is. It is you commit to taking an action against what is stressing you. But the first thing we're going to need to really talk about is what do we value and what is a value. And values are things about us that, things that we find important, and our values are constantly changing. They're ongoing, they sort of stay with us, but they can be dynamic. Things that you may have valued when you were 5 years old may not be what you value now. And they evolve with us. They probably become more complex as you get older. But examples of these can include creativity, fun and humor, honesty, learning, and trust. And those are just a few of the examples. If you refer to the attached sheet I have along with this activity, you can do your own value sort and figure out what it is that you truly value. And it's important that you do this first because it is through values that we are able to figure out what our actions need to be in order to address our goals. Values are really the foundation for what we do if we're living a life where we're operating with mindful action. Because if we don't know why we're doing something, or we don't value what we're doing, we're just going to set ourselves up for feeling unfulfilled in what we do. Values truly are why we do what we do. And actions that have no grounding in what you value aren't helping you reach your goals. So I'm about to transition into an ACT matrix. And an ACT matrix may sound intimidating, but all it is a very structured way of setting a goal and then trying to reach that goal. You may not reach it, and it is important that you practice the act of non-judgmental reflection, which is basically if you don't reach your goal, you try to figure out what went wrong and not to shame yourself, but in order to try and hit that goal again. Because if it's really important to you, maybe you just need to change how you're approaching it. First off, you're going to start with your goal. And then the ACT matrix starts to take shape. As you can see, it's being divided up right now, and how it's being divided up is into two sections. That of your physical actions and that of your mind. So the top actions part being very concrete things that are occurring, and the mind portion being sort of what's going on in your head. Then we're going to break it into two other sections. The left side of this is the away moves that are keeping you from your goal, and then the right-hand side is the towards moves that are going to get you to your goal. And as each box pops up on this screen that you're going to see in a moment, it's important to note that the way that I animated them serves a purpose. It's where you're supposed to start on the matrix. So in the bottom right-hand corner where you're thinking about your towards moves that are kind of in your mind and sort of abstract, what do you value? And what is important to you about this goal? I constantly say this to Bergen Tech students. Good grades are not a value. You don't value good grades. If you value learning and you feel that through your learning you're going to get good grades, like a goal could be, I want to get an A on my insert subject area here test, that's the goal, but it's not a value. Again, it could be learning, it could be curiosity. Hopefully you're passionate about what you're learning about, because then that will make that grade actually mean something to you. Because newsflash, the A that you get on a test in high school, the happiness that you may feel from that will probably not last into your adult years. Sorry. Even when you hit goals, if you're not doing it because you value what it is you're doing, sort of the happiness from that experience can fade, and it does. So the away moves that happen in the mind portion of the ACT matrix is noting things that moves you away from your goal. Is it thoughts, feelings, or memories? So if you're really hung up on a particular class and you're really struggling in it, and you have those feelings of anxiety about the course, or you have memories of, oh, I got a C on the first test and a D on the second test. There's no way I could get higher than that on the next test. You're kind of stuck in a trap. You're catastrophizing, and the way that you're thinking about this is preventing you from doing better in the course. And I should note that you can use this for non-academic situations as well, even if it's just addressing a conflict with your friend. If you have these sort of nervous feelings about addressing it, like, oh, how are they going to react to what I'm about to say? And you don't ever take the action to maybe hit your goal of talking about that specific problem you're having with your friend, you're stuck. You're not addressing the goal, and your friendship could suffer for it. As you move up to the top of this, you're going to see that in the action sections, things start to move out of the mind to become way more concrete. And these are our behaviors. So what are behaviors you engage in that take you away from your values? Do you procrastinate with an enormous Netflix binge because you know you have work to do, but you just don't want to do your work? That could be one behavior you engage in. If you use the friend example I was using before, do you purposely avoid that friend, or you only hang out with them in particular situations where you know you can't really get into a conversation that could delve into what's troubling your relationship? Those are away moves, and they're not taking you toward where you want to be, especially if one of your values is friendship. And then the last part, and really this is where you make your plan, you try to commit to behaviors you can engage in that will move you toward your values and toward that goal. That is why that's the last box there. If you do it and it works and you have some kind of measurement of your success, great. If you do it and it doesn't work, you might be shocked to hear me say this, great. You have to learn from your mistakes, because this journey of self-improvement is not easy. And hey, I'm using this from the first slideshow that we use, but it will help you adapt. And as I said before, we have to adapt. Again, this is not just something that's difficult for students to do, and I mentioned this in the post. It's difficult for people to do in general, but it gets beyond that, those kind of platitudes that you could be told where people are just like, oh, well, manage your time better. It's like, this could give you a plan to actually manage your time better. Or if someone's like, well, you're not living up to your potential. It's like, well, If you value whatever it is that you're trying to address, it will help you maximize your potential and reach whatever heights you are looking for. So again, this is not easy. If you have questions, please let me know. But definitely consult the attached video from Russ Harris on what a value is and the value sort activity, and then try an ACT matrix out for yourself. All right, take care and good luck.